After the 40-year-long War of Wrath and the defeat of Morgoth, the Edain, the noble men who fought alongside the elves, were honored and blessed by the Valar in body and mind. They were given the island of Numenor, which was brought up from the sea, as a gift to the Edain for their part in the war against Morgoth. Following the Star of Eärendil, the Edain sailed to Numenor under guidance from the Valar Ulmo. There, the half-elf Eärendil sailed forever across the sky, carrying the last remaining Silmaril. Centuries passed, and their ancestors, the Númenóreans, flourished under the guidance of the Valar and the help of the elves. Blessed with lifespans as long as 500 years and a height of around 2 meters, they became renowned mariners and warriors, their ships dominating the seas and their cities gleaming with splendor. As the Númenóreans flourished upon their island realm, their curiosity and ambition led them beyond the borders of their homeland. Fueled by their seafaring prowess and thirst for exploration, they established colonies across the vast seas, extending their influence far and wide. The first of these colonies took root along the coasts of Middle-earth, where the Númenóreans forged strong alliances with the indigenous peoples and established trading posts that served as hubs of commerce and culture. These settlements became beacons of Númenórean power and wisdom, spreading the knowledge of their crafts and sciences to distant lands. While the Dark Lord Morgoth had been defeated, his most loyal servant, the fallen angel Sauron, decided that the Valar had forgotten Middle-earth and turned back to evil. Many men in the east and south, already corrupted by Melkor and worshipping him, fell under the shadow by following him. Alarmed by the growing power of the Númenóreans, Sauron chose Mordor as the land to make his stronghold. He began the building of Barad-dûr, the Dark Tower near Mount Doom, and raised massive armies of orcs, trolls and men, chiefly Easterlings and Southrons, whom he dominated as a king and god. Letting his servants build many fortified towns and armed those under him with iron. The War of the Elves and Sauron began in the year 1693 of the Second Age, and was a bloody conflict that devastated much of Eriador and the elven settlements. The elves were pushed back almost to the Blue Mountains, while their dwarven allies retreated behind the walls of Moria, where Sauron could not assail them. Sauron was now the Dark Lord of almost all of Middle-earth beyond the coasts, but the Númenóreans responded to the elves' call for aid and sent a huge relief force. With united forces, Sauron's army was driven back and utterly defeated. The Dark Lord fled back to Mordor with little more than his own bodyguard and a handful of orcs. The might of Numenor was revealed during that victory, and soon the Númenóreans became too proud and desired more wealth and power. Now, Numenor was becoming a brutal maritime empire that had no rival. They demanded tribute and oppressed the lesser indigenous peoples which they had previously liberated and taught. As their lifespans shortened, there was growing discontent regarding the ban of the Valar, questioning the gift of men and becoming envious of the immortality of the elves. They longed for the undying lands of Valinor, home of the Valar and Maiar, which they only saw from a distance and were forbidden to go. Fearing death, they tried to gain immortality in riches and ornate tombs. Kings started to speak openly against the Valar, and many Númenóreans followed their teachings. Sauron's empire continued to expand, to dominate barbarian men as servants and worshippers to the far south and east. Believing he would dominate all of Middle-earth, he assumed many glorious titles: King of Kings, King of Men, Lord of the Earth, and even Lord of the World. This offended the arrogant Númenorians, who had already started to fall under the shadow of Morgoth. The proud Númenorians came to Middle-earth with great force of arms, and Sauron's forces fled. Realizing he could not defeat the Númenorians with military strength, Sauron allowed himself to be taken as a hostage to Numenor by King Ar-Pharazôn. There, he quickly grew from captive to advisor and was known as Zigur, the Wizard. He seduced the king and further corrupted the people. Sauron started converting many Númenorians to the worship of darkness, becoming high priest of a Morgoth cult. He had the White Tree cut down, and in its place raised a great temple in which he performed human sacrifices, persecuting those who were still faithful. Finally, he convinced the king to rebel against the Valar and attack Valinor itself, claiming they would gain immortality. As the Númenorian armada approached the shores of Aman, the Valar called upon the all-powerful god Ilúvatar to intervene. In his wrath, Ilúvatar unleashed a cataclysmic upheaval that shattered Numenor beneath the waves, burying its cities and armies forever. Only a few faithful, led by Elendil and his sons, escaped the destruction and founded Gondor and Arnor in Middle-earth. Sauron was on Numenor in the Temple of Morgoth and was caught in the ensuing flood. Although severely weakened by the destruction, his spirit survived and fled back to Middle-earth, slowly preparing his return.